Welcome again for another round in my F1 career season number 2. We're here in round number 2, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I was lucky enough to be blessed with a dry weekend, though there was some clouds over practice and qualifying and the race as well, which is not ideal for the Lotus since it seems to best operate when it's warm and not so much when it's cold. So starting here on my qualifying lap into Q3, made it in there without too many issues, but I made a few mistakes here, as you will see alongside this lap, which will cause me to start a bit further down the grid. But the first sector all went alright, grabbed a nice bit of curb there in the fast section. It's one of the most difficult corners because for me it's always a little bit blind, which makes them pretty difficult to guess right. It's actually really in sector 3, there you go, I lose the back end, struggle to get the power down. And I was doing alright until that point, so it would have been much better in the purple had I not messed that up. But of course, since I went for one lap, it's already too late by that point. A little bit stuck on the curb. Notice the DRS didn't engage it really smoothly on time, so it's a bit unfortunate as well. And we go into the final corner. Also, again, a little bit late on the throttle. Could have gone better. So you end up with a 1:36.972, 6 tenths behind pole sitter Sebastian Vettel, second Nico Rosberg, third Fernando Alonso, Lewis Hamilton and Mark Webber in fifth, and my teammate is right behind me this time with just about a tenth difference. So I didn't reach my target. I think the game wanted me to qualify in, I think, at least third or better. Fourth or better, sorry. It's right there on the screen, Jesus. So yeah, again, he showed he's disappointed. I was actually disappointed as well, since I made too many mistakes in that lap, so he's there to make me feel a little bit better. So, preparing onwards to the race here, getting ready to be seated, hooked up, and I'll run quickly by my setup as well.
The R&D part has failed. The team need a couple of races to work on it some more. You should receive the working part in 2 races' time.
The engine wear. There you go. And then we're gonna go run down of the whole grid here. As you can see again, so going on from 7th downwards is Raikkonen, Massa, Button, Perez is in 10th place, then Hulkenberg in 11th, Gutierrez 12th, De Resta 13, Sutil 14, Maldonado in 15, decent for the Williams, Verne 16, Ricciardo in 17th, Bottas in 18th, and then of course the backmarker teams, Bianchi, Van der Garde, Charles Pic, which means Max Chilton is all the way at the back. So as for tyre wear, the Lotus should be good. They're actually opting me for 13 laps on the opening stint. Then switch to primes. I am gonna change that. For the clouds, one's opting for a bit more grip. Going for option. First, as I'm just playing around here with the settings to get the most ideal tire strategy, so to speak. Still thinking I of course do one prime stint at least. Thinking pretty hard. What is the best way to go actually here? So you'll see me dubbing here quite a bit before I actually head out. seems a bit long, so this I actually go off strategy pretty much straight off the bat. Leave it as it is for now. Not really giving a shit, making sure the fuel is alright. Probably in the, in the end I settled for winging it because it was cloudy, which means that the tires, especially in Lotus, have to work a bit harder. And tire wear was indeed turning out to be worse than I was expecting, so winging it was the best way to go. So here you go, Paul Sitter and myself down in 6th place, and then Kimi in 7th, starting as always a bit of my
After your points finish last race, let's keep the momentum
Achilles
going.
heel, I suppose. And today as well, we're going to see if I do it right or a little bit of a half-assed start, a Weber start. Again, actually have a worse start than Weber, but not too bad. I can keep this clear line on the left side, and allowing me to move straight along everybody. Gets slightly tapped from the rear, not too badly. Squeezing the Mercedes of Rosberg a little bit. And then I have Weber on the right. Rosberg is already behind me now, and Weber almost punches me into the grass, squeezing me a bit. From quite far back. I slip by Alonso, try to keep some space for him on the left side, and now I'm behind Sebastian Vettel. In the chase in this tricky midsection. Trying to get close, looking for an overtake. Of course I'm too far back to break that gap. Get a very good exit here, and I'm thinking hopefully overtake. He brakes early, switch down to first, go to first place round the outside. So that was actually a pretty nice move. Though I have to say Vettel did brake very cautiously there. I go a bit wide, almost making me go off track, but I just managed to hold it. But it puts Vettel right back into my gearbox again. Fortunately I have some spare fuel, so I can use high mix if I need to. As we're almost wrapping up lap number 1 here in Malaysia. There you go, I do go to rich mix. That way then I just try to make sure I can stay ahead of the Red Bull driver. And I brake too late. And that of course easily allows Vettel back inside. Alonso tries to go with him. More or less succeeds as we go side by side. With a bit of a better launch. I'm still high max. Oh, slams into me again, just like Weber did. They're a bit awkward in that area, it seems. But I can outbrake him. And I'm back where I was a lap ago, behind Sebastian. So it's back on the chase once more, unfortunately. All this battling of course will hurt my tires more than it should, so that's probably one of the reasons why I had to pit earlier than lap, I think I set it to lap 12 initially. Clean lines through this sector. This map is actually one of the tracks I'm generally the weakest at, so in that regard, the current position that I was in is still pretty good for my beat doing. But we can see Vettel slightly pulling away from us, and Alonso is already letting gap fall behind us. That's probably not the last we'll see of Alonso, so the Ferrari is generally pretty good tyre wear.
DRS will be enabled this lap.
But he'll have a scrap with Hamilton soon, who's already closing in on him. You can see in the mini-map, you can see my teammate looks to be quite a while back. Cut on the inside and actually knocked the bollard off. I think I missed the apex again for the second time as well, a little bit in the lap after this, so not having the smoother of runs. Still keeping in touch, staying about half a second behind Vettel. So doing alright in the opening laps. We're both dropping off. Alonso is already 2.2 seconds behind us. And you can see that the AI cars are much better in this mid-sec there than I am. Two dots behind us of Alonso and Hamilton. We're getting closer and closer together. 7/10 is the gap now, 2.2 still the gap behind to Alonso, so he's holding on, he's not letting it get too big. Here comes Vettel though, he has the pace. Or at least I slowly start to lose pace compared to him, as the gap seems to get bigger. Because I already did not get DRS in this straight, which means I'm already over a second behind him. Having to switch down the first just to keep it in line here. Which is a bit unfortunate. It does compromise the exit a little bit. Still a personal best, but 1.1 seconds behind. And Hamilton has now passed Alonso and is 2 seconds behind me. So Alonso has dropped down to 4th place. There you go, cut the corner again, hit the bollard again. Of course, it will not do me any good. Get a pretty decent line after all though, don't lose too much time. And I gained a 10th on him
Vettel's next, line him up for a pass.
in that first sector. Another fast sector where I generally always lose a bit of time. Get quite good 3S's. And it's always very tricky double apex right-hander, especially from carpet mountains. It is kind of blind. So if you steer him in too late, it turns the whole corner into a mess. So 1 second is the gap still. Hamilton just ate away half a second already. At the start of sector 3. So Hamilton's got the early pace, it seems. He's on his way. And they desperately try to close the gap to Sebastian Vettel in front. But I'm not being quite successful about it. I seem to be a bit closer than before, and I might actually get DRS on him now. I do in fact get DRS. Get another personal best, and only 9/10 behind him. And Hamilton squeezes or steals another 10th from me, so he is coming in quick. And actually sets the fastest lap with a 1:41.739. So good job for Hamilton there. But this time I started noticing him a bit more often. There you go, 1.2 seconds is the gap now. He's quicker than the both of us, like myself and Sebastian in front. And Alonso has already dropped off significantly behind us there. So after being passed by Hamilton, he doesn't seem to have the pace back that he needs, but he still seems to have a relatively safe margin behind him, whoever that is. So Hamilton is now within a second, and Vettel is 1.2 seconds ahead of me, so I don't get an extra help of DRS to help me fend off Hamilton. Switch to high mix since I realized this. Go a bit wide on this corner, compromise and exit, which gives Hamilton a nice little run already, allowing him to pull up. I use pretty much all of my remaining curves, which might have not been such a great idea. Because this of course allows Hamilton to look at my inside straight already. So he's going for my outside. And he actually gets me on the outside quite nicely. I broke way too early, afraid of the dirty line or getting off the racing line. But I get a good exit here. A little bit of extra curse I would normally do here to get him back on this little straight.
The car behind is on newer tyres than us, be aware.
Down the first order to make it. Go a bit deep, but stick it. So now we're moving on to later on in the lap. There you go, we're on the straight again. Hamilton again is right behind me, of course, has the DRS wide open. I seem to have pretty good straight line speed. But my braking on this point is not so strong. So, ooh, just almost tries to steer into me. But of course, he's not anywhere, it was in front of me, so I can keep the position. Again, lap later. He's there again. A little bit further back. But he gets, of course, a strong pull in as well. And actually slightly nudges me there. Locks onto my inside. There, but there's no room. And he has to wait another lap to try again. As you will see in a moment, because he does not give up. He will stay with me and keeps pushing and prodding away, trying to get second place. And all in all, going that, Vettel just slowly pulls away. Here he is on the last straight, on the first DRS straight of a lap, so to speak, and he eases by me. I can outbrake him into the corner, but then again, of course, gives him the initiative again, since he will have another set of curves, since the DRS line is in the middle of that corner. I always stay to the inside, he stays on the outside, doesn't use a draft on me. Until the car a little bit, and Hamilton just wants to dive into that little gap, just get himself beside me. But I managed to fend it off for another lap. So, lap 9. Again, we're on the DRS, first DRS straight before the last corner.
Okay,
Goes by me again. Only comes beside me, so I get the inside line again. My car gets upset a little bit, so Hamilton wanted to push, but he couldn't. So I will save another again. So lap number 10, he is still so close behind me. Vettel already 3.4 seconds away now. So me having to defend from him, from Hamilton, has really left, or gave Vettel some time to create a gap. Much to the annoyance of Hamilton, because by the looks of things, he seems to be the quickest car at the moment. Here he comes again. Break a little later and actually decide to pit early, 2 laps earlier than the planned pit stop. I've already pre-selected the prime tires to avoid having to do another extra to go for a 4-stopper, because it's already a 3-stopper race. So you don't want to have 1 stop more, because my tires were shot. I felt I was losing too much and decided to wing it from here on out. With yeah, different results, I would say. So, ready to go back out on track. Button is coming out. And I'm lucky enough to only have Button in front of me and stay ahead of the pack behind there, where Hulkenberg actually just overtakes my teammate, or defends from my teammate, on the inside line of turn 1. So he of course had much better traction and grip on these fresh tires than Button ahead of me, so he easily pulled towards him. Actually have to lift off and decide to dive for the inside. As Button stays a bit wide, I grab a lot of curb in order to make the pass. Of course, having much better grip, it's not very hard to keep the car under control. Having a brand spanking new set of tires underneath my car. So next ahead is Webber. I'm 2.4 seconds behind. I've already put 1.2 seconds away, because these guys are just having tire issues. Quite big ones. And you can see that the clouds are pulling away a little. For warmer conditions on track, which should benefit the tire wear of the Lotus. I'm checking my fuel situation. My pistol will be switching to high mix. Go a bit wide as Weber makes the overtake on Sergio Perez. Perez can go right back at him now. There he goes on the inside and makes the pass. I have to hold off a little bit longer, but I caught up right up with these two. Again, I've got much better traction out of the corner. Easily sweep on the outside of Weber again. He just wiggles a little bit, and I go very far. Not the nicest overtake I could have done, a bit too deep. But I decided to go with it in order to make the undercut work. I want to clear these guys as quickly as I can to maximize the grip in these tires to hopefully, when they make their pit stop, come out ahead of them. So here we are, a little bit further ahead, lap 13, having a purple sector 2 here, of course. Still one of the only a few guys that have pitted at this stage. I think might have been the only one actually. And Massa actually gave me a little DRS pull along the straight, giving me some extra speed. It's kicking in quite properly now. And I quite easily take the Ferrari driver. Of course he will get DRS on me again, but he lacks the traction to really make use of it. And there you go, fast lap of the race so far, 1:41.408. There you have it again on the main screen in the middle. And I quickly pull away from Massa.
Kimi has entered the pit lane. He's in the pit.
My teammate is also in the pit, 4 laps later than me. Checking to see if I'm back on standard mix now again. So it's been a very, very busy opening sections with a lot of flying, a lot of passing going on, which made this race very interesting, especially when I'm driving. 100% races, especially solo, can get a bit boring. Like a 10th slower than my previous lap. A bit messy here out of these corners. And we keep charging hard. Actually switch back to first. Generally I like to try and make the corner into second gear, but couldn't make it. So it's better just switch down and to avoid going wide. And there you go, and a half second slowdown lap before, but past Vettel and Hamilton, who had just pitted now, and I come out ahead of them by quite a little bit. And Vettel actually got the undercut as well, but Hamilton turns out to be quicker still, as you will see in a moment. Where there you go, Hamilton just overtook Vettel there. So further on, Hamilton still charging hard, setting the fastest lap of the race to a 1:39.892, which is significantly faster than my current best time at that stage of the race. And he's already 1.4 seconds behind me. So coming out of the pits, I ended up, there it goes, I think it was Pig, making my life a bit difficult there by changing or deciding to get out of the way very late when I already went for the inside. But yeah, like I said, I came out like 3 to 4 seconds ahead of Sebastian when they all made their pit stops. So in that sense, getting out early worked for me. but they were still pretty quick. Vettel actually was about on pace with me. As you see, Hamilton overtook Vettel quickly enough and is now back on the chase for me. I'm just trying to make the smooth lines as I can. As I said before, this is not the best track for me. At least there are tracks that I'm better at driving at than this one. Pardon me there for a moment. And he's already closing in massively, so of course at this point you saw this fast lap before. He's got a definite speed advantage of almost more than a second at the point. There you go. It's like 6-7 tenths that he got on me on that lap, and is already well within DRS, so almost underestimates my grip levels and almost breaks into the back of me. So he's already on my tail now in lap 20. And it becomes a big question of whether I can keep him behind me, because he will not make it easy for me, that's for sure. Get down to only 3/10. Vettel is at a safe 4.4 second gap behind the Brit. Of course, I've been at these tyres a bit longer for them than they have, so now he has the better tyres than me. Corner always upsets the rear for me, always makes it slide out. Half a second is the gap, so he will more than definitely have DRS on me as we go onto that first DRS zone. So far so good, he's very close behind me. Steam rolls past. I decided to let him go.
Okay, it looks like the car ahead is
Trying to get...
create a gap.
I actually hit him. Because I broke sooner than I expected, but I'm still behind him, passing the DRS line, so I get the green light. I make good use of it, getting the position straight back.
Should be coming into the pits within the next
He
5
can actually
laps.
brake a little bit later than me, but I managed to get the position back. Anyway, there you go. Make sure I have a good exit. And I'm back into first place. So there you go, Hamilton and me are going to have to dish it out probably for the rest of the race. The little actually slur of DRS gave me a purple first sector. But trying to defend from him, probably make sure I won't be able to get myself a fastest lap, improvement of the fastest lap, regardless of that. Taking the hairpin in a second. I wanted to go easy on the throttle in third gear in order to keep the car going as I want to. Hamilton is able to keep tighter lines than me. Here we go again. He's right on my tail as I go a bit wide again, compromising my exits, making for another easy pass with DRS for Hamilton.
Okay, you're down to second. Let's push on and try to regain first.
A better corner speed as well. That takes a little bit from the DRS to start working, and a bit of draft as well before I can really reel him in. And again, I take him back straight away. So if it kept going like that, it's manageable. Hamilton actually loses a bit of extra ground on me. It's probably a little moment, losing grip for a split second, giving a 9/10 gap, so almost a second there. The gap to Vettel is up to 5.4 seconds. And Alonso seems way further back than that. Of course, Hamilton still has more space than me. He easily climbs back right into my mirrors again, as you can see. This time I take the hairpin in first. Push the throttle a bit too much, you can see that the back end immediately wants to slide out. Hamilton already reduced it again to only half a second. And here we go. I miss my braking point, go wide, touch a bit of the gravel, and that is it. Hamilton is gone. I made the mistake all by myself, went a bit wide, broke too late, couldn't keep the corner. I've got dirt on my tyres. I was glad to have a sort of more or less a safety margin for Vettel, but that definitely was the end of that battle with me and Hamilton. And now the question becomes, is his pace for the rest of the race just too great for me to ever catch up with him, or will I be able to do something about him later on in the race? Well, let's see what happens a little bit later on. We're in lap 25 now. So as you can tell, I wasn't able to do much. 7 seconds, 8 seconds I should more or less say, is the gap now with Hamilton. The gap with Vettel has been slowly increasing as well, so in that sense I am safe for second place at the moment.
Looks like Hamilton will be stopping within the next few laps.
But yeah, I was definitely unable to follow Hamilton's pace. And yeah, slowly but steadily losing ground. I decided to pit in lap 25, thinking that my tyres are pretty much done for. Saline mix. Make the entry to the pit lane as fast as possible, as Hamilton actually still sets a fastest lap. As you can tell, as you can see as well, I have not been able to improve my personal best from earlier on in the stint. Well, Hamilton is capable of improving lap time, so he's making the tyres work really, really well in this race, which of course is just more bad news for me. There comes Alonso in 4th place. I almost gained a pit stop on him so far, which is encouraging as for at least to secure a podium position. And here we go, a new fresh batch. A little bit closer to what I planned to. Originally I planned to stop in lap 26 to get on this set of tyres, but of course I would have been on options, or should have been on options. But that wasn't meant to be. Now with the weather now in better conditions, it's now time to make these tyres last. The actually projected length, because this is not a clean set of prime tyres and we're not really betting anybody directly on track. It's now all about getting the lap times in, see if I can do anything about Hamilton's pace. Bit of aggressive turn into the hairpin.
We need to pass. You're currently faster in sector 1.
Alonso right in front of me.
Alonso, go for the overtake.
Still go a bit wide. Now to get the DRS. Hamilton still is very quick on these tyres that he's currently on. Close the gap to Alonso. He's pretty slow in the corners by this stage, so he's feeling tyre wear probably already. And I'm much closer to him now and should be able to take him quite easily. Straight, moves a little bit, tries to throw me off, but I just keep straight, keep next to him, and with that I have the inside line and then easily make the pass. And immediately pull away from the Ferrari driver. Oop. Go a bit wide there for no reason at all, and immediately set a purple sector. Of course I got some extra help with that, but yeah, getting a purple sectors is encouraging to see, considering my race with Hamilton. But yeah, it's going to be proving to be quite a challenge to catch that man at the end of the race, to be in striking distance with him, but I'm going to do all I can. Another very aggressive turn in, actually slide a little bit into the corner, and I get another purple lap time.
You have a 2-second gap
what I
to the car
can
behind. We need to keep it clean so he
to
doesn't get a
close
chance to
the
overtake.
gap even further. straight. I tend to use the curse here last jolt until I get like into 5th gear. Which is usually if I don't deploy too much beginning, usually have around 150 left, but this time it's a little bit less. Usually means I've used a bit much curse in the beginning. So there you go, with 38.795. So that all is already gone. So it's between me and Hamilton again, because Hamilton has not pitted yet. That's why the gap is so large. And then I've got mess up the right-left combination here. And now, of course, back markers are starting to get in the way.
The gap between you and the car behind,
which of course doesn't go well.
Prime tyres confirmed for next pit stop.
And there you go, the big moment with Van der Gaard and Maldonado. Maldonado brakes early, Van der Gaard smashes his wing off, and I actually more or less brake too late as well, coming quite hot. As they were driving pretty slow, slam into the back of Maldonado. Fortunately, I remain damage free and get Maldonado straight after. Here you get lap 43, the game wants me to pit, but I really want to go on options as the gap with Hamilton has increased further by comparison. It's up to 15 seconds now. But I want to go on softs, but at this point I am unsure if they will go the distance to get the pace I needed to do anything to the gap. So preferably I want to do about 12 laps, which means I have to stay out a lap more, but as you can see the front left is pretty worn and I do stay out on track for one more lap and feel confident enough in the tyres that they can go for one more lap without losing too much. 114.6 is the gap at the start of this lap, lap 44, so you had a big skip. Since, apart from those two short moments that you saw with back markers and the incident that Van der Gaard had with Maldonado, nothing really interesting happened. The gap just slowly increased over time, and Alonso is actually solidly in 3rd place at this stage in the race. And, meaning I currently have no sight of where Vettel actually was at this point. But Ferrari seem to have a good drive going on. So 14.9, losing half a second in sector 1. Of course, I've got a different strategy going on than these the other drivers ahead of me. 17 seconds is the gap with Massa now. That means Alonso just went into the pit lane to get his last set of tyres, and Kimi also made his pit stop. And there you go, Bun sets the fastest lap. There you go, front left is gone. 15.3 seconds again. You lose quite some time over Hamilton, but I hope I can make it up on the softer tyres. But the big question will of course still remain, would I be able to keep close the distance enough to actually do anything meaningful. Pretty hard entry, have to go down the first in order to make the entry. Get a bit of grass on my tyres, doesn't matter at this point, and we basically race into the pit lane. 15.5 seconds is the gap. Another solid pit stop. 3.1 seconds, very nice. Be done by the team, and there you go. They're back out again.
There's some traffic at the pit exit. Watch out as you rejoin the
And then
track.
you will see what a clean lap will do, because Alonso pitted 1 lap earlier than me. The gap was around 15 seconds or something like that. And you can see how sharp the tyres were and how fast Alonso is at this point. There you go. 8 seconds. So Hamilton and I actually pitted at the same time, it would seem. The button sets another fastest lap with 1:38.312. I can see it correctly on my preview window here. So far on his opening lap, keeping pace with him, which of course is important. And there you go, 8 seconds down is Alonso, only just. So that's not a lot of margin I have. So yeah, I'm not quite safe still. I have a bit of spare fuel, so go to Rich, see what I can do. All these tires are still fresh. The last tire stop is actually not on a clean set of tires, since I did use 2 tires in Q2, since my first lap was quite poor as well. It wasn't quite safely or quite secure, because I only set the 10th time at that point in the qualifying session. So you threw in another set. There you go, Alonso 1:37.648. Lotus goes out of the way quite nicely, 14 seconds. So starting off well, cutting into the gap of Hamilton. Alonso still, of course, a little bit quicker than me at this point. His tires all warmed up. Missed this corner, getting way too much on the inside. And get grass on my tires. 10 laps to go. The final stages of the race are now going on. I push as hard as I can. Ooh, almost lose the rear. Corrected quite quickly. 13.3 seconds. So here I am thinking, as you can see the blue flags on the mini-map, that Hamilton is actually being slowed down by traffic.
We have a little bit of spare fuel. We should keep
Hopefully that won't bother too much and I might be able to do something, but it is a big gap. And of course when my tires will start to drop, I might lose pace again compared to Hamilton in front. But here you go, not giving up at this point. There's a chance. I'm going for it. There you go, 1:37.588. Current fastest lap of the race. 13 seconds still is the gap towards Hamilton.
As I've ever seen. This is exactly what we need until the end.
Moving on. Lap 52. 10 seconds is the gap. And Maldonado gets a bit in my way. Having to me go wide and slower through this section than I wanted to go. Of course, losing the time. Alonso is also 10 seconds away. So yeah, it's pretty much gone, and there you go, you can see the wear on the left front. It's pretty heavy already. Went a bit wide since there's some dirt on my tires, and there you go, lap 55, the gap is back up to 14 seconds. So I couldn't keep the pace up as the tire wear started to kick in, and actually have Alonso coming after me as well. Did increase the gap quite a bit compared to Alonso. Don't think I actually ever managed to get sub 10 seconds towards Hamilton. With the tire wear in these last... there you go, the gap just gets bigger here, 15.2 seconds, even more. I'm unable to push these tires anymore. Mainly because of the front left. Doesn't have the grip. Go down to third gear even just to keep it in line there. So yeah, at this point I realized already, like, yeah, this is the position I'm gonna be in. And more or less realized as soon as Hamilton started increasing the gap again already. And a few little backmarker moments, like the one with Maldonado, didn't help either. So it just became a question of just bringing it home, just taking this corner especially easy. Alonso's gaining on me, but in order to get my position he would have to gain 14 seconds. I mean, I can drive pretty damn slow in this final lap, so there's no need for me to take any risks. I was also at this point wondering where Vettel, of course, was at this stage of the race. I don't actually know straight from my head. I actually have to look at the results again where he finished in the end. We'll see soon enough. Of course, Vettel got second last time out, so he was my closest rival after Melbourne. So there you go, Alonso going quickly, 13.8 seconds behind. Vettel is now gone, 60.2. I'm just basically letting him go on. Back marker car there. There goes 13 seconds still. It seems that even though Alonso is also suffering tyre wear, I think because he stopped before me and Hamilton. It makes sense that he kicks in a bit earlier. There's Jules Bianchi going out of the way just in time for me not to really lose any time. Not that it actually matters at this stage. 16.8 seconds. Hamilton's still gaining on me. And here I just go to Liam, make sure, like, alright, yeah, just make sure I don't make any mistakes. Go down the first, making sure I do not go off track and just get out my car being stupid and like pointing them all. It's easily done enough on any track if you just take too much curb and just to lose the back end completely and just go catapulting across the track into the barrier on the other side. So into the barrier on the other side, sorry. So there you go, Hamilton is finished. And I'm still quite pleased that I got second place here on the track where I usually don't perform well. The character's happy, I've reached the target. The game wanted me to finish third and I got second. And as you can see, my teammate finished in 8th place. So another podium. Lewis Hamilton won the race, then me, Fernando Alonso, Massa, Vettel only in 5th place. So even Massa snatched up the Red Bull driver. Mark Webber in 6th, Jensen in 7th, Kimi 8th, Nico 9th, and the other Nico in 10th. The Sauber Nico, that is. Sutil, then it's Perez, Gutierrez, Paul Di Resta, Valtteri Bottas, Jean-Eric Verne, Ricciardo, Max Chilton, Charles Pic, Jules Bianchi, Pastor Maldonado, and then the Dutchman all the way at the back. So still quite secure in first place, 43 points, 10 points ahead now of Lewis Hamilton. And 3 points behind that is Fernando Alonso, and Vettel with that result in 5th has dropped down to 4th place. Kimi is doing quite well in 5th place with 13 points, having Felipe Massa and Mark Webber behind him with 12 points. Of course, there are still a lot of people who don't have any points in this race, and of course in the constructors, which we will see hopefully in a second. There you go, I'm still also in the lead. Lotus team is in the lead with 57 points, Ferrari second, Red Bull still in third because Nico had a disappointing result, because Mercedes is only in 4th. So there you go, another podium, another 100% race in the Lotus. Quite a nice car to drive, I'd say. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys for the next one where we'll be visiting China.